local news now. When 18-year-old Jack Barefoot suffered an accident that resulted in the loss of 4 of his fingers on his right hand, he didn't let him slow it down. If anything, he used the experience to lift himself and those around him up. WNKY's John Reynolds has the story.
Jack Barefoot's positivity is infectious, but it's a positivity that's not unfounded, whether it be through his love of sports, his lifelong friendships, or the love of his family. Jack always finds a way to keep a smile on his face. But most of his joy is sourced from his faith, something he's made a focal point in his life.
I've actually grown up going to Christian schools. I went to Anchored Christian, and then I switched to Bowling Green Christian Academy, and I kind of like switched back between those. So, I mean, and I've been in church all my life, you know. And so, I mean, I've always had faith, and I've considered myself, you know, a strong believer.
But Jack's faith was put to the test through an event he never imagined occurring. August 5th at Ryan's Fatted Calf, a local meat shop that is owned and run by Jack's family. Jack was finishing a customer's order and was filling the meat grinder with beef when his fingers were then caught in the machine's grasp. Jack soon discovered his life had changed forever.
When that happened, you know, I was like freaking out, and my cousin Willie was behind me cutting fish, and so I just turned it off. And right before I pulled my hand out, I was like, I'm going to be all right. I can get through this, whatever it is. I just remember that. And I pulled it out, and I just looked at my hand because I thought it was just fingertips. And that's when I realized, you know, all my fingers were gone.
Just a few miles away, Jack's mom, Stephanie Barefoot, was enjoying lunch with her mother and her daughter when she received the news, which was initially misinterpreted.
I got a phone call, and they said Jack's been in an accident. Now, Jack had already called his dad, and so Jeff, my husband Jeff, was on the way. They said, Jack's been in an accident. We think he chopped off the tip of his finger. So I flew out of there, just left them, and had to call back and tell them why I left, because I went running, having no idea what had actually happened. I thought it was the very tip. So then I got in the car, and they called me back and said, Stephanie, it was all 4 fingers. And I said, he cut off the tips of all 4 fingers? And they were like, no. And I said, what do you mean? And they said, Stephanie, we think he cut off all 4 fingers.
And upon arriving at the medical center in Bowling Green, doctors knew Jack's injuries were best suited for the Jewish Hospital Hand Care Center in Louisville, where he could be surrounded by experts specializing in situations similar to Jack's. Despite the medical personnel's best efforts, only Jack's thumb could remain on his right hand.
We sat there and we talked, and I said, you know, Jack, I said, it's going to take some time to get back to a new normal. I said, and your normal is going to be different. And I remember he looked over at me and he said, Mom, he said, I'm so thankful I have my thumb. I'm so thankful I have my hand. He said, I'm going to do everything I did before. Don't worry. It might take some time, but don't worry.
With the journey only having just begun, Jack's story began to grow and grow. A family member even reached out to Super Bowl champion and current Tampa Bay Buccaneers pass rusher Jason Pierre-Paul, who suffered similar injuries to Jack when he lost part of his hand and his fingers to a fireworks accident.
He kept saying, he's like, yeah, he goes, I kept looking and some girl was just blowing up my messages saying, I need to talk to you right now. And so I checked and I heard about what happened. And so he's like, I was for sure going to reach out to you. So him just telling me all the time, he's like, you can't get down on yourself. He's like, you got to know you're going to be able to do anything you want.
And before his hand had even healed, he began to practice and push himself to the limit when he discovered he might make his comeback dreams a reality.
I just started messing around and like stick handling a little bit. I was like, I can still play. I was like, I think I'm going to be all right. Well, I mean, once it heals up, of course. And so we'd go to the practices, and I would get out there and mess around a little bit. And I was like, I can kind of do this. I was like, this isn't that bad. So from there on forward, I was like, I know I need a special glove, and I know I need this to heal.
The healing Jack could take care of on his own, but the glove came from someone very near and dear to him. His great aunt, Celeste Tenaro Johnson, began to craft him a glove that would accommodate his injuries.
So she decided, she's like, you know what, I'm going to sew you a glove. She's like, I'll use parts from another glove. She's like, I'll throw them in there. She goes, I'm going to sew you a glove. And so it's a constant circle. And we just put extra Velcro around it so it stays still and I can still move it and stuff.
The idea of him participating in hockey again was no longer a goal, but an achievement. Because in October, only 2 months after the accident, Jack was set to be back on the rink with his team. But unbeknownst to Jack, lifelong family friend and Warren County inline hockey coach Dan Klein had something much more commemorating in mind.
We came out that night, and as we were doing warm-ups, and he got suited up, and I asked him how he was feeling, and I feel great, Coach. And so he went to get some equipment, maybe his glove or whatever, and we brought the other kids together. We said, hey, when we drop the puck, we're going to give him the stick tap.
In hockey, the stick tap is the ultimate sign of respect. And for Jack, the respect and the love from his teammates made a substantial impact.
So when they started clapping and stuff, it just, I mean, it overwhelmed me with joy. Just knowing that all these people were really waiting for me to come back too, and knowing how much they love me and care for me and are just ready to play with me again. I mean, it just made me feel good knowing that they really do care about me, you know what I mean?
But the future for Jack is not limited to hockey alone.
Next fall semester, I'm going to hopefully graduate with my associates in business from Sky and then transfer to Western. I think by next spring is what the deal is.
Through it all, Jack realized his positivity stemmed from his faith, friends, and family, but he wants others to realize how much life truly offers.
You got to realize how many blessings you actually have that you don't even count, because you have so many more blessings than failures in your life, and people don't like to count them. But once you realize that, then, I mean, you should just, it's going to make you become a positive person, just realizing how many blessings you actually have.
Reporting for WNKY, I'm John Reynolds.